Good afternoon, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Community Development Commission. Today is Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023. Madam Secretary, please take roll.
Commissioner Covington,
Here.
Commissioner Lay,
Yeah.
Commissioner Martinez, Commissioner Padilla,
Here.
Commissioner Cornelius,
Present.
Commissioner Gallegos,
Here.
Commissioner Rios Pacheco. We have quorum.
Seeing a quorum, this meeting is officially called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Daniel, please conduct us in the pledge. Flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please take your seats. Again, no public comments at this time. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. This is the time for the commission to consider matters under the consent calendar. Item number 1. Do we have a motion to consider item 1?
Motion to consider item number 1.
All right, Commissioner Cornelius, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Matter approved, unanimous consent. Now we're going to move on to the business calendar. We will now consider matters under the business calendar. The first item on the business calendar is item number 2, public hearing, consolidated annual performance and evaluation report for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time and place for the public hearing of the Community Development Commission of the City of Santa Ana. First item, called Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Will staff please report on the matter?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We are very excited about our presentation today of our Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. It's an annual presentation that really consolidates all the great work that we do across our housing division to provide assistance to our community. And our report and presentation will be presented by Mr. David Flores, our Senior Community Development Analyst.
Hello, good evening, and thank you all for being here today. Like Justin said, my name is David Flores, Senior Community Development Analyst, and I'm going to give you a brief presentation on the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, referred to as the CAPER. Okay. So tonight we're going to ask that after the presentation that you assist us by recommending to the City Council to authorize submission of the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report to HUD. That will be the recommendation. So, sorry. Working a minute ago. All right. So the City of Santa Ana is the recipient of entitlement funds from HUD for 3 different grants: the Community Development Block Grant, which is CDBG, the Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG, and the Home Investment Partnership Program. So for fiscal year 22-23, we received a total of $7.2 million for the 3 projects. And you have the breakdown there for you to review. And I provided handouts for everybody so you guys can follow along and take notes if you like. Okay. At any time, if you have any questions, please interrupt me and ask your questions. Okay. Thank you. So entitlement fund cycle. Plan for the use of these funds are made as part of the 5-year planning cycle for fiscal year 2020 to 2024, outlined in our consolidated plan. So this is our consolidated plan that's done every 5 years. And I think I've done this presentation before for a few of you, but for those who are new, every 5 years, we have to develop what's called a consolidation plan. This is what it looks like. The second step is every single year of the consolidated plan, we have to create an annual action plan for every single year. So back in April, we brought our fiscal year 23-24 annual action plan to this body for your review and recommendation to council for approval. It went to council in May and it was approved and we submitted it to HUD. So thank you for that, for doing that. So the annual action plan reports on specific projects, funding allocations for a given year, and serves as an implementation tool for the comp plan. And lastly, at the end of every fiscal year, which is June 30th of every single year, we have to develop the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, or the CAPER. So continuing on with this presentation, instead of saying the big long title, I'm just going to refer to it as the CAPER. Okay. The CAPER, you can look at it as a report card for all of the accomplishments we stated in the comp plan that we were going to achieve. So we report that to HUD, and then HUD measures us on that. Okay. We're doing good so far? All right.
So far, so good.
All right. CAPER data. Reports, narratives, and tables contained in the CAPER include accomplishment data from programs funded from previous years and during the year, the fiscal year 22-23. So we say previous years because some programs, when we outline them in our annual action plan, sometimes they take a while to get off the ground, right? And if you guys have looked at these magazines, the Cultura magazine, here in the capital improvement section, down here in the bottom, the Santa Anita Park, that park was partially funded through CDBG funds. It's going on its 4th year of construction, right? It's a humongous park and it takes a really long time to complete. So as soon as that gets done, we will include that into whatever CAPER for whatever year it completes. Data is compiled from quarterly reports submitted by funded agencies, such as the nonprofits that provide public service programs that your body assisted us in selecting and funding, as well as city-operated programs that cover funding utilization and progress on goals. So some of those city agencies that report to us are Public Works, Parks, Library Services, and Planning and Building. So we fund some programs for them, and they report to us on a quarterly basis. When the reports come in, we add it to the CAPER at the end of the year. So any questions on this so far? All right, we're doing good. So the first program I want to highlight and talk about is the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG program. So some of the eligible activities for CDBG include capital improvements, public services, housing programs such as rehabilitation program, code enforcement activities, and economic development activities to small businesses in our community. So the first accomplishment I want to highlight to this body is we funded 9 CDBG down payment assistance loans with over $1 million. So we're really proud of that. Our staff member that was responsible for this program is no longer with us. She received a promotion and is currently with Planning and Building. So yeah, we'll leave Planning and Building alone because of that. But yeah, we lost a great person. However, Claudia Shaw is here with us, and Claudia Shaw guided Holly in doing all the down payment assistance. Claudia trained Holly to do all this. So she's really responsible for a lot of this accomplishment. So thank you, Claudia, for your hard work on this. So all of the loans include a down payment assistance of $120,000 for low income household. Borrowers must be a first time home buyers. They must complete a minimum of 8 hours of home ownership training. They must have 3% as a down payment that coming out of pocket. They must be pre-qualified for first mortgage and be a positive credit history and obtain a fixed rate first mortgage, which is really, really important that we encourage fixed rates all the time. And we also provide a local preference to veterans and applicants who live or work in the city of Santa Ana. And being a veteran myself, I made sure that that was inserted into our policies and procedures. So, all right. The next slide we have is a graph demonstrating all the down payment assistance loans that we completed. So the start of fiscal year 22-23, you see that the graph is just showing an upward movement. We didn't have any dips. Whenever we received an application, we worked with the client and we ensured that that loan came to fruition. So, and we completed the loan. So I did report 9 down payment assistance, but there's more data points there. And that's because we're combining in this graph loans that took place with our inclusionary funds as well. Okay. They're not reportable to HUD, but we're just including everything in the graph. So we're working really hard to get that off the ground and continue to serve our residents.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh.
I was gonna ask if you
Chair,
could
you
repeat
said-
the.
Let's start with the commissioner to my left.
I'm so sorry. I wanted to ask if you could repeat the inclusionary housing part. I didn't quite catch what you were saying.
Sure. So there's multiple funding streams that we can utilize to provide down payment assistance.
Okay.
One of them is CDBG. So with CDBG, we were able to complete 9 down payment assistance, but we also have another funding stream that's called inclusionary housing funds that we can utilize also for down payment assistance. So in this graph, we combine the 2 funding streams, and that's why you show that data there. There are more than 9 data sets.
Thank you.
Commissioner Padilla.
My question is, for the down payment assistance program, you said it was 9 completed for this year? Or what's the total of loans that have been provided?
16.
16 for this year only?
Yeah. Combination of CDBG and inclusionary.
Okay, thank you.
And about how many applications did you receive total?
I
Or both.
believe, Claudia, do you know?
We have that information. We provide that information to you on a quarterly basis in our housing division quarterly report. So as of our most recent housing division quarterly report that we received to you for Q3, we received a total of 9 applications were received in Q3 and 17 as of from July 1st to March 31st. So if you just add a couple, you could get to the end of June 30th. But if you're interested, we can provide you with that data after the meeting.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Curious on how the loan is set up. I mean, at the application, they have 3% minimum down payment, and then the city will come in with 120,000 to
Correct.
assist it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Curiosity question there, David. I should have read further into the initial packet. Out of that 120,000 down payment assistance, is any part of that paid back? Do they have to own it for so many years before that is waived? What are the terms and conditions on that?
Yeah, so it's a 45-year loan at 0%.
Okay, so obviously if they want to sell it, what happens? What type of situation does the next buyer need to be in?
So if they decide to sell the property, they do have to pay those funds back to us.
All right, thank you.
I actually have a follow-up question. Since you say like they have to qualify for the first mortgage, does that mean like it does include 120,000 into like calculation at the down payment?
Yeah, so when they submit the application to us, they have to already be approved for that first mortgage, right? And then they send us the application. We work with the lenders to provide the additional down payment assistance of 120.
Okay, thank you.
Just for extra clarification, because I might be confusing this with another program, is any part of that down payment assistance waived over time?
No, I don't think it is.
Actually.
Or maybe it is.
Claudia?
Claudia, do you want to come up? Claudia's our loan expert, so
Okay,
she could tell us.
by curiosity, just wants to know.
Thank you for your questions. Yes, so for the student incentive mortgage, up to $40,000 is forgiven over a 20-year period. So that's for anybody who graduated from a Santa Ana high school and went on to get a college degree. At the time of the application, they provide us a copy of their high school diploma and their college degree for 4 years. And if they stay in the home over that 20-year period, every 5 years on their anniversary date, they will have $10,000 forgiven up to $40,000. And now we've incorporated that for veterans as well. So initially it was for students only.
There's a few veterans on this commission, so for that, we thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for
Any
your
other
service.
questions here now? We've got our loan expert up here. Anything else?
Well,
You-
just for you,
Wait, okay.
Okay.
You first. No, you first this time.
No.
I heard you first.
no, Claudia, I just want to thank you for all the work. I know firsthand everything that you've been doing. I've been going to some of the workshops that you've been doing in the community, and you gave a great explanation. I think it's a great program, and I didn't have a question just before you go back. I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh,
for
thank you
everything
very
you've been
much.
All right, very good. Commissioner Martinez.
Just out of curiosity, does the city have to do any compliance monitoring as far as affordability for the loans, for the first time homebuyer loans?
So we do, because it has to be owner occupied. We do every year on their anniversary, they will receive a letter from our department that says, please comply and send this back. So they have to sign and certify that they continue to live there, update their phone number, their email. We also monitor their hazard insurance for the life of the loan. The city is actually listed on their insurance policy as a loss payee. In the event there's any future losses, we would be notified. So we track it that way. Just as a side note, one way, we are able to follow up to ensure that those people really do live there. Those letters are not allowed to be forwarded. So if they move or rent out the property, it will not go to their new address. It comes back to me. We'll kind of investigate it and start looking into it and say, what's going on? You're not allowed to rent this out. Also, in the event that with the hazard insurance, if we get an updated policy, because every year we get the updated policy, if it becomes a rental policy, then we also know there's a red flag that they are possibly renting it. It doesn't happen very often, but if it does, we have ways of reaching out to them and letting them know they're in breach of their contract and they have to pay us off. There is no prepayment penalty at all to pay us off. The only thing is that if they do go out and sell their property, they have to pay us off in full. And again, it's 0%. So they're only going to pay what we lent them.
Thank you.
Anything else? I'll say it all good. I'll end. Dave,
Okay,
carry on,
thank you.
please.
Thank you, Claudia. Appreciate it. Okay, the next highlight that we want to speak about is our public service program that's funded through CDBG. So we have Brenda Vega here with us, who manages our public service programs. So we funded a total. So Brenda, if you could stand up really quick so they could see who you are. All right, awesome. So Brenda managed 20 nonprofits that administered 22 programs that served a total of 3,350 residents this past year. So every year we fund all the nonprofits and they continue to do great services here in our community with the help of all of you who are going to be reviewing and selecting the next nonprofits for next fiscal year.
I have a
So
question.
yes, sir.
Regarding the nonprofits that were funded, is there a list of the nonprofits that were funded?
We do have that list. We don't have it today to provide to all of you, but I can forward that to you as soon as I get back.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Sure.
And also, I'm so sorry. I just don't want to forget to ask this question. Do you mind sending us what nonprofit needs to have to qualify for any assistance or what type of sponsorship? Or how does this program works?
Can you say that again, please?
Yeah, like I want to understand how this program works for nonprofits, like if they're in need of any sponsorship or help for whatever event they're putting together to benefit the nonprofit. Is there any website they can go through to look for this help, or how does it work?
And that's assistance to the nonprofits. I think you would have to probably go into their individual website and contact the operation.
No, what I'm
coordinator.
talking about is Sanana, because over here, so you help with the administering the programs, or do we help them financially?
We do both. So
Uh-huh.
every 2 years, we receive a CDBG public service application that's out for the committee for all the nonprofit world to apply.
Mhm,
And this body does all the review. And I think you reviewed a couple of years ago, right?
mhm.
So this body does all the review of all the applications. We have extensive interviews where they're here for 2 days doing a
Mhm.
presentation of all the public service programs that they're intending to offer the community. And then this body does the final selection or recommendation to council of who's going to be funded and for how much.
Got it.
So once they're funded, we do all the monitoring to make sure that they're compliant, that they're meeting all their accomplishments, that they're spending their money that we awarded them through CDBG in a proper way, according to federal regulations, those kinds of things. So we do monitoring, we do site visits, we do all kinds of monitoring, and Brenda does the majority of the work. So
Okay.
Dave, for the benefit of the newer commissioners and just as a good refresher for the ones that have been around for a while, if you can get that list over to Bianca and send it out to us, we'd appreciate it.
will do. And then just to keep you updated too. So I think in November, we're going to come back to the commission with the new application for the next 2 years for public services. So you'll have an opportunity to provide us with input on the application. And we're hoping to do some changes to that, and hopefully you agree with it and you allow us to take that to council. And then once all the applications, this body will have the opportunity again to, review all the applications and select who's going to get funded for next 2 years. Okay, but I'll do that as soon as I get back tomorrow morning.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So let's move on. So also with CDBG, we fund capital improvement projects. Also on this magazine, you'll see that under capital improvement projects, this is the exact same thing that I'm going to talk about today. We funded the construction of 3 new restrooms at 3 city parks: Madison Park, Memorial Park, and Cesar Chavez Campesino Park. And that's exactly what the new restrooms look like. Next capital improvement project that we finalized was the fiscal year 21-22. A graffiti abatement project that was focused on the Logan neighborhood. So we provided artificial fencing up and down Lincoln Avenue that's runs parallel to the railroad tracks. There was a lot of problems with people crossing the railroad tracks, going into Logan neighborhood, dumping their trash and doing all kinds of different illegal activity there. So we're hoping that this project is going to stop that. There was also a half wall down Lincoln Avenue that was full of graffiti. So we took down the wall, and we're hoping that they're not going to be able to do that with this artificial ivy because it's protected against graffiti. And that's improving the lives of all of the residents in the Logan neighborhood. We also completed the fiscal year 21-22 residential street improvement in the Henninger neighborhood. In that neighborhood, a lot of the streets were neglected for many years. They were uneven, they were cracked, they was just very, very deteriorated. So we've been investing funds in that neighborhood for about 4 or 5 years now. And even though it looks like they're paving over it, we don't do that with CDBG funds. We reconstruct, meaning that we tear the whole entire street and we build it from scratch. Okay. So that's what CDBG highlights for the CAPER. Any questions?
Just a quick one regarding the street repair. So are these like targeting the old concrete streets that were built like in the 20s and 30s?
That's correct. So we're building concrete streets again.
Oh, so you are making them concrete once again one day?
Correct. If they're concrete, we do concrete.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, that's really important because it cools the street down, right? As opposed to the dark top. Yeah.
Any other
And we don't
questions?
do any repairs on the streets, by the way. So we don't do like pothole repairs. We don't repair cracks or any of that. We have to reconstruct the streets.
Sorry for cutting you off there for a second, Dave, but any other questions about this particular item? Nope.
Okay, let's move on to Home Investment Partnership Program. The purpose of the program is to expand the supply of affordable housing for persons of low and very low income. Some of the eligible activities include new construction of affordable housing, single family and owner occupied rehabilitation of their homes, multifamily acquisition and rehabilitation. And we can also offer a down payment assistance program through the home program. So some of the highlights that we would like to show in the narrative section of the CAPER is that we've invested 10.2 million of home program funds that are going to provide 216 new affordable housing units. So you see the 3 projects there, they're under construction. We will not report the results of the projects until we receive the certificate of occupancy for all three, but we will include these projects in the narrative. So the first one is the Westview House Affordable Housing Project. It's located here in Santa Ana. It's going to provide 84 units of affordable housing for large families to include 9 home assisted units. We also have the Crossroads at Washington that's located in the Logan neighborhood. That's going to include, it's going to provide 85 units of affordable housing for large families, including 12 home assisted units. And then the last one is the Weiss Place Permanent Supported Housing. That's going to provide 47 units of permanent supportive housing, including 16 home ARP assisted units. So if you add all of that funding, it's $10.2 million that's going into our community for affordable housing through the home program. ARP, you guys remember?
American Rescue Plan.
American Rescue Plan. Thank you, Judson, for rescuing me.
Turn the mic back on. You back up just for 1 second. I wanted to count, back to the 3 projects. I wanted to count real quickly how many units that was
I'm sorry.
combined. 216. Okay.
Yes.
I was just doing the math from the bottom up. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then the last project or grant that we that's funded through HUD is the Emergency Solutions Grant, or the ESG. The purpose of this grant is to assist individuals and families to quickly regain stability and permanent housing after experiencing a housing crisis or homelessness. Some of the eligible activity include homelessness prevention, street outreach activity, shelter services, and rapid rehousing services. So all of our ESG partners have been extremely busy this past year. They've done a lot of activity in our community. So they've entered encampments. We were able to dismantle a lot of encampments and provide services to the people in those encampments. That included social services, health services, legal services, and a variety of other things, mental health services, which is a great need in that community. So it's not just about getting rid of the encampment, but making sure that those people receive the services that they need so they don't continue in that situation. We also went out to the Santa Ana riverbed and we removed some encampments there. Yeah, so they were very, very busy with that. Unfortunately, we don't have any accomplishment data for ESG at this time. We're still accumulating the information from our providers, but some of the information that we will report will include the number of assistance person that were serviced to street outreach services, homeless prevention, rapid rehousing, and shelter services. And we break it down by the children, adults, males, and females. So this information is pending. Hopefully by the end of the 4th quarter, when we gather all that information, it will be included in the CAPER. And right now you're looking at the draft CAPER because it's a work in progress, but hopefully before September 30th, we'll have the final version that will be submitted to HUD. So the draft CAPER reflects numbers that were available in the HUD system as of August 15. That's why you see some of the tables and some of the sections that are blank because we're still working on that. The final CAPER will capture performance information from the 4th quarter that's not available to date. For this reason, several tables are blank. Each table in the final CAPER will be completed to show the progress made in meeting the consolidated plan, goals and objectives. So what's our next step? So currently we are in the process of doing a 15-day public review and comment period. So we posted the CAPER in 3 different locations in the city that include the 6th floor community development agency, in the city manager's office, and in our libraries, which are the 2 libraries. So a total of 4, but I just include libraries as one, but total 4. So this gives our community the opportunity to look at the CAPER and provide us with feedback on that. So it started on August 17. It's going to end on September 8. After that's done, we're going to go to council and ask for their permission to submit the CAPER to HUD. And hopefully we can submit it before September 30th, which is the due date. Okay, so we're having two public hearings, one here today, and the second one will be at our city council meeting on September 19th. And that's the presentation. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, sir.
So the caper that's gonna be before the city council, will that still be the draft caper or will that be the final by then?
It's going to continue to be the draft.
Okay,
Yeah, until we receive all the information from everybody.
and that should be by the 30th.
It has to be before September 30th.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Gallegos?
Yes, on the public review and comment period, is there going to be any online outreach to residents to be able to comment through there?
We also post the caper on our website. But to be honest with you, in the past 5-6 years that I've been here, we've never had any comments regarding the caper. We've had it for the consolidated plan and the annual action plan, but not regarding the caper. And I think it's an intimidating document that when some of our residents look at it, they may get intimidated by even commenting or trying to understand what's in the caper. I'm hoping that in the future, we could do some community outreach and attend some community meetings throughout the city to present the caper as well. And we
Commissioner
should probably
Padilla.
do that next year. That's a great question. Thank you.
Well, thank you, David, for your presentation. I just have a quick question. If I'm understanding correctly, you talk about all the capital improvements, the public service, all the housing programs that you're going to be adding to this document, but I didn't see anything on the area of economic development. And I remember when we reviewed the action plan a couple months ago, there was some programs that were added there. Some funds for small businesses and in that area, but I don't see you mentioning anything over here. Is not that part of the caper? That's something that you don't have to add in that document?
It is part of the caper, and thank you for that question. We didn't highlight anything in the presentation itself. However, in the staff report on the second page, there is an economic development section, and it's reporting that we provided a total of 70 small business grants.
And these small business grants, for what program were they from?
They were for a combination of CDBG CV, the COVID funding that we received, and regular CDBG. And that's managed through our economic development program through Sylvia Vasquez.
Yeah. So I will appreciate it. Nick. I know you guys are doing a lot of work, but if you just can share with us a couple of those programs. Like, I feel like every time we review action plans, like you guys go in deep with the whole housing thing that we're doing, that I think it's amazing. But I also think that we're doing a lot in that area in economic development. And at least myself, I do get asked a lot what else or what programs are. And I don't like to not know about what programs we have, because I like to reach out to the community and to let them know what it's available. I help a lot of people to apply for the $25,000 grant for whoever was owed on rent, which I think it was a great program to have to help our small business owners. So it's just that, like, I feel like sometimes at least me as a commissioner, I would like to know more of what we're doing in that area, because it's always very detailed what we're doing in the other areas, which I understand we're doing way more, but I also think we're doing a good job, and I would like to give some comments and some thoughts of what else can we do with our economic development, because I think it's very important to start supporting our small businesses more, because it's how we bring money back to the city and how we also create sustainability for the city.
That's right. I agree. We'll do that next year for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee? Commissioner Martinez?
So not a question, just a comment. I really like the idea of trying to outreach to community about these kinds of things. I think that unless you're actually doing the work all the time, you don't speak that language, and it's really hard to know about these things that are happening. I'm sure it was a challenge teaching the community about like the housing element and things like that. And so I do think that an effort to incorporate the community into these processes is a really good idea. There are community organizations, like Latino Health Access that are really good at outreaching to the community. So I'd be really supportive of something like that, because this is really hard stuff. Maybe not for all of us, but I think for the community it is, and nobody has time to be at city council meetings all the time, right? If you're working 2 jobs and having to take care of your kids and stuff, it's really challenging, I think.
I agree. So I just want to let you know that when we were developing the fiscal year 23-24 annual action plan, we attended a total of 5 community meetings at school districts, at churches, to talk to the public about what's in the annual action plan, all of our funding streams and what type of services we actually do. And we asked them for their input, and we got a great amount of input from that was incorporated into our annual plan. So we do that for our consolidated plan process, our annual action plan, but we just haven't had the opportunity to do it for the CAPER. But I understand your comments, and we're going to strive to get that done for next year.
Yeah, and
So
I
thank you.
appreciate that you guys are doing that. I know sometimes I'm a consultant myself, so like I know that cities a lot of the times rely on consultants, and we're not the experts of every community. So I think that going straight to the experts is always a good thing.
Right. And we have staff that's bilingual, so that's extremely helpful. You know, we speak the language in their language.
Yeah.
And that's really important. So thank you.
Thank you.
Comes back to me, and I was just gonna echo Commissioner Martinez's comments as well. I appreciate the reaching out, what you've done so far, but if we could add a little bit more, I think is keeping as transparent as possible, the public as informed as possible is a good thing. Then a couple points here when I was reading the report. I noticed there was a preference, you had talked about it as well. I don't know if it's a focus, but it's a preference for veterans, for housing, affordable housing, whatever assistance they may need. Can you expand more on what you do there and how you approach the veteran community so they're aware of this?
Sure. So we can talk about 2 different approaches that we take. One is for affordable housing and the other one's for down payment assistance. So down payment assistance, we just talked about that. We do have a preference for veterans who live in Santa Ana. They get preference over everybody else. And then it goes to people who live and work in Santa Ana, right? So the other item is when we talk about affordable housing. So we have an affordable housing development here on First Street, Heroes Landing, that's strictly for veterans. So we work with the VA department to get the referrals. We do have a lot of, on the first floor, we have social services down there. We have the Department of Veteran Affairs that's housed there as well. So if any of the veterans need any services, they can reach out to the staff that's there.
Okay, are you reaching out to, there's a Veterans Benefits Office on Grand as well. Are you working with those guys too?
I believe we get referrals from any, we could get referrals from any of the veteran agencies, to include the VA hospital, Long Beach here, and the VA administration everywhere else. So we
Okay.
get the referrals.
Yeah, whatever we can do to make sure they get the word, be as proactive as we can, that'd be great. And then also I noticed that there's some funding for code enforcement, which as the former chairman of ComLink many years ago, code enforcement was a hot topic for us. We've seen a lot of code enforcement officers come and go. And I saw there was 6,336 violations reported for single family units, and apparently 100% were corrected. What was the gist of those violations, and how do we truly enforce that they correct them?
So it could be a minor violation from maybe not upkeeping your yard to having an illegal structure behind your property, or maybe a garage conversion. So it could vary from any of those items. I don't have the list of every single thing, but I think it just varies from, the very small violation from not upkeeping your yard to the big ones, from having an unpermitted enclosure in your
So-
property.
To make sure that they have corrected the violations, is there at least 1 or 2 code enforcement officers that go out there to certify and verify and take pictures to make sure it has been cleaned up?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
All
And I
right.
also want to point out that in our residential rehab program, we give priority to code enforcement violations. So if some of our residents are low income and can't afford to correct those violations, the residential rehab program steps in and helps them with correcting those violations.
Okay, thank you.
You're
With
welcome.
that, commissioners, do we have any other questions here for Dave? All good? Okay, and again, Bianca, there were no public comments to be made, no written correspondence to be discussed, okay? In that case, we're gonna move on. Do I have a motion to approve item number 2, the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report for the fiscal year 2022 and 2023?
Let's move it.
Okay, Commissioner
Second.
Padilla, second by,
Second.
okay, Commissioner Gallegos. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved by unanimous consent. The public hearing is now closed, and now we're going to move to staff comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just 5 quick comments here. First is last Tuesday, we successfully launched the city's first ever rental registry for our rent stabilization and just cause eviction ordinance. You may have seen the press release that was issued by the city relative to that rental registry, and we are in the process of forming that registry over the next 4-month period. Next is that since the last commission meeting, we submitted an application for 25 additional foster youth to independence vouchers to serve foster youth referred to us by the Orange County Social Services Agency. By our housing authority, we anticipate the results of that application to come in the next couple months. Next is that this week we certified as a high-performing housing authority for the 6th year in a row. I'm sorry, for the 6th year in a row, far exceeding HUD's sampling requirements for CMAP indicator number 3, with 10 times the number of samples required for that CMAP indicator and twice the number of samples required for indicator number 5. We were excited to submit that and certify again as a high-performing housing authority for the 6th year in a row. Next is that Ms. Shaw, Claudia, will be conducting a down payment assistance workshop through the leadership of Mayor Mescua this Thursday, together with Salo as well at the Salvador Park. Yes. Community Center, and it starts at 6:30. Yes. Not gonna. Okay, don't let me steal your talking point. I'm sorry. And then lastly, next week, we are aiming to begin accepting applications for our new rental housing board. So if you or anybody you know are interested in joining that board, we are our city clerk is going to begin accepting applications for that board before the end of this month. With that, Mr. Chairman, we have no further updates. Thank you very much to David and to our entire team for all of our terrific work in the presentation.
Thank you, Judson. Let's go ahead and move on to commissioner comments, and starting with Commissioner Cornelius.
I have no comments.
Commissioner Gallegos.
Yeah, I have a question for Judson. So for the rental board for a tenant, do they have to reside in a rent controlled unit, or is it they just have to be a renter?
They would just have to be a renter. It is not a requirement or restriction that they live in a rent stabilized unit.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Padilla.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just you did steal my closing comments. I just want to invite all of my fellow commissioners to go to the workshop tomorrow. I've been putting a lot of efforts to promote it. So far, I'm bringing about 38 to 41 confirmed people attending to this workshop in help with other friends that we're going to be participating at this workshop too. So I feel like this program is amazing. And since I learned about it, I think sharing the word and really looking what how many residents we can help. It's just I just hope that we keep you very busy and send you as many applications as possible. Because again, like I really like this of creating generational wealth, of really looking at what's coming for the city. And that's why so many times I'm here and I talk so much about economic development. Sometimes I feel like this commission focuses a lot on housing, which is extremely important. And I think I'm just amazed of the work that we're doing. And I'm just so proud of the staff and everything that you do for the housing you just said it yourself, all these recognitions and things like it just explains of the amazing work that we're doing for the community, and more is needed. Like I know that, but I also feel like we need to start looking into more of our economic development side, because it's also very important to know how we're going to bring more money to the city. I do follow the budgets. I do follow our general fund. I do follow our council meetings, and it's always something that worries me of the needs that we have as a city and the little bit of money that we have to hold all those needs together. So I feel like if we work more on our economic development department and we bring more ideas, we create more programs for our small business, we're gonna get that back. And so that's why I mention all this. And my last comment is just sharing with all of you about my visit to Saguayo, Michoacan. It was like very, very exciting to see firsthand our first sisterhood with a Mexico little town called Saguayo, Michoacan. It was definitely a great experience to be there. I was invited again because I am a part of a board for National Hispanic Businesswomen Association. And I was part of a women forum where we share our experiences, and I share my experiences about being in business as a woman and also being a commissioner. I met the head of Economic Development Commission over there, the chair, and just knowing all these programs that they're doing as well motivated me a lot to share this with all the staff, with all my fellow commissioners, and to know and to give you ideas, and you guys tell us what we can do, what we cannot do. But I feel there's also this big need in the small business area that we can help support. And yeah, just sharing that. And now we have a sister city, and I believe they're coming to visit us in September. So it's very exciting that they're going to be able to come. And also that we have 17% of our residents are from Saguayo. So that's a big number. And those were my comments. I hope everybody has a great rest of your week.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee.
Well, first of all, thank you for the report today, and definitely learned something about Casper. Also, I want to say I agree with Anna about economic development, that I think it's essential that we work on that and how to bring more, like improve the business, small scale business, and also try to bring that revenue in for our city. And in return, we can have more program or more housing or, wherever we can, work on. I think that's very important, especially we at the state with recovery for the economy, that we need to keep, maintain small business, otherwise they're going to go out of business, and it can be a bigger problem later on, just like how I see it in Auckland back in the day. So, so I do think it's very important that we keep that small business running and expand that, practice. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Commissioner Martinez.
Not a lot of comments, just thanking staff for the really excellent presentation. It was really informative, and always happy to hear about our programs. I love to show off about Santa Ana. I think it's the best.
And I will echo those comments. Thank you to staff. There's a lot of work to put that together. Thank you for presenting it, Dave and Claudia, for helping out. And then just for the commissioners, I got an email here recently, and I don't know if you've got the same email, but it deals with ethics training, and there's time. I think it's come for some of us to get refreshed on that. So please check your email and make sure you attend the training. It's online, so it's pretty easy to do. And one thing I wanted to really talk about today is there's a young lady here that really sets the standard, the bar pretty high for being involved in the community. And Commissioner Padilla was recognized here for some of our newer commissioners earlier this year for being what's called a difference maker. And she just touched upon some of the very few things she does out of the very many things she does. So I've heard this said before, and I'm going to go ahead and repeat this. I forgot who was originally put this bug in my ear, but we as commissioners have a duty to represent the city and be involved with the community to help in any way we can. We are all difference makers. So I'm going to encourage you guys at whatever level you're serving, take it to the next level. Get more involved. Be active. Help your community. And, we can all make a positive difference there. And then back to that rental registry thing here, Judson, I actually got a letter today, and I do own rentals, but not in the city of Santa Ana. They had my own personal home down as a rental. So who do I need to notify to get myself off of that list?
That's a great question. We've been receiving that call, that similar call today as well. Let me give you the exact information here, 1 second. For you and anybody, of course, listening to this meeting. So we use data from the County of Orange Treasurer Tax Collector, may not reflect all owner occupancy and may contain errors. The data specifically is for your particular home. If you are not claiming the homeowner's exemption, then your unit, based on the County of Orange Tax Collector's data, is being considered as a rental unit where you currently reside. So that's why you received that letter. We have a property owner affidavit of non-rental that we can provide to you to provide back to the city, such that your unit will be removed from that list of rental units for the city's purposes. Now, relative to the County of Orange Tax Collector's Office, you would want to contact them or begin filing for that homeowner's deduction.
I'll do that. I thought it might have had something to do because I do have it in trust, and there was a little TR thing for the trust abbreviated in the letter. So I didn't know if that might have signified something somewhere, but if you can send me that email to get myself off of that list, that'd be great.
Yes, sir.
And then I'm sad to report that Mike Garcia lost his mother-in-law here recently, but I just found out today because he's on my Facebook that I knew his dad was sick, but his dad, I found out, just recently passed away as well. So if you guys can take a minute, and I don't know if he's going to be around here for a while, probably not, but if you can at least email him something to lift his spirits and give him our condolences, I think that'd be a nice thing to do. And I talked to Bianca here earlier before the meeting that if we can send a bouquet of flowers to his home, I think that'd be a nice thing to do. Okay, and with that, we'll go ahead and move towards closing the meeting. This meeting is adjourned. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, September 2023 at 4:30 p.m. And I would like to close this meeting in honor of Mike Garcia's mother-in-law and his dad. We're adjourned.